Breaking news out of Los Angeles. The Chargers have just made another move on the offensive line. This shakeup could have a major impact on how the roster shapes up moving forward. Stay tuned, because this story goes deeper than you think. But before we dive into the full details, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and don't forget to press the bell icon. That way you'll never miss the latest Chargers updates. Now, let's get straight into the news. The Chargers are once again adjusting their offensive line, this time by bringing back a familiar face. Veteran tackle Foster Sarell has rejoined the team. For those who may not remember, Sarell entered the league in 2021 with the Ravens as an undrafted free agent. After short stints with the Giants and Chargers, he carved out a role in Los Angeles, appearing in 35 career games and even making his first start in 2022 against the 49ers. This move comes just after the 53-man roster and practice squad were finalized, showing that the Chargers are still fine-tuning and looking for the right mix of protection up front. With rookie Joe Alt already earning a captain's role this season, adding more depth and experience to the O-line could prove crucial for the long grind ahead. When you look closer at this move, it's clear the Chargers aren't just adding a body, they're adding experience. Foster Sarell may not be a star name, but he's logged real snaps in the league and knows the system. That instantly gives the Chargers something they desperately need: playable depth. The offensive line has been one of the biggest question marks heading into the season. Fans inside the building see the issues every day and know how thin things can get up front. From the outside, though, you look at this group and realize the Chargers are actually in better shape than many other teams. Just for perspective, the Lions lost their all-pro center last year, shuffled guys around, and still managed to hold things together. That's the kind of flexibility Los Angeles is trying to build. Of course, losing a starting tackle always raises alarms, but the addition of Sarell, combined with other pieces, should help stabilize things. As part of the corresponding moves, the Chargers released David Sharp from the practice squad, a lineman they picked up midway through the preseason. And in his latest press conference, offensive coordinator Greg Roman mentioned Jeremy Sawyer as a possible answer at swing tackle. Now, with Sarell in the mix, it looks like the Chargers will have a real competition for that role. And that's exactly what you want heading into the grind of the regular season. There's more good news coming out of camp, and this one could be a huge sigh of relief for fans. Najee Harris is back on the field, fully suited up in pads, and taking part in practice. For weeks, there's been constant speculation. Will he be ready? Will he miss time? Those questions have been hanging over the Chargers like a cloud. But now, just days before kickoff, Harris is showing signs that he's ready to roll. It's a perfect reminder of how quickly things can change in the NFL. One day you're asking if a guy will even be available, the next day he's back in pads and gearing up for week 1. We've seen this across the league. Look at recent moves like the Cowboys trading away a back almost overnight, or rookies still waiting on contracts to get finalized. Deadlines force decisions, and as the season opener gets closer, players and teams find a way to make things happen. Harris returning to practice is the latest example of that urgency. But the updates don't stop there. The Chargers are also generating buzz with their look this season. A full schedule of uniform combinations has been released. Every helmet, jersey, and pants combo mapped out week by week. For a team already carrying so much excitement under Jim Harbaugh, this adds another layer of anticipation. Fans love the tradition of the powder blues, but now they'll also get to see fresh pairings that make each game feel like an event. Between Harris gearing up for action and the energy around the new uniforms, the Chargers are entering the season with momentum, both on the field and off it. One of the most fascinating storylines around the Chargers isn't just who's playing, it's how the team presents itself. For years, Los Angeles has carried some of the most iconic uniforms in football. The powder blues, the lightning bolts, the crisp, beach-inspired style, it all fits perfectly with the city's sun-soaked, coastal energy. When you think of the Chargers and the Dolphins, you picture speed, flash, and those clean, vibrant looks that match the warm weather, beach town vibe. But here's where it gets interesting. Style is starting to meet substance. Under Jim Harbaugh, there's been a shift. This isn't just about flashy uniforms anymore. You can feel a tougher identity beginning to take shape. Last season, even in flashes, the Chargers looked grittier, more physical, more battle-tested. That's the kind of culture Harbaugh is known for building. And if he stamps that toughness onto a team already known for its style, you suddenly have something dangerous. A roster that not only looks good but plays with an edge. Compare that to the last era under Brandon Staley. Even in victories, there was a sense of imbalance, like the Chargers were hanging on at the end rather than dictating the game. They had talent, they had moments, but they rarely felt in control. It was similar to those Lions teams from years back with Matthew Stafford. Plenty of fireworks, but not always the command or toughness to finish games the right way. That's the shift people are watching for now. Imagine the Chargers still rolling out those iconic uniforms, the bright powder blues under the Sophie lights, but pairing that look with a brand of football that's gritty, physical, and relentless. If Harbaugh can deliver that, then this team won't just be stylish, they'll be feared. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, the Chargers and Lions actually share a fascinating parallel. Both franchises have been building towards something new, something tougher, more resilient, more battle-ready. Detroit has Dan Campbell, the ultimate motivator, who has transformed the Lions into one of the most physical, no-nonsense teams in football. And now Los Angeles has Jim Harbaugh, a coach cut from the same cloth, who believes in building a foundation of toughness before anything else. Because at the end of the day, football isn't just about talent on paper. There are plenty of teams with skilled quarterbacks, fast receivers, and explosive defenses. But the real question is, can they wear you down? Can they deliver 4 quarters of physical football that makes opponents dread facing them? That's the leap the Lions made. Teams don't just circle Detroit on the calendar anymore. They fear what's coming. And now, the Chargers are trying to take that same step forward, to turn talent into toughness and style into substance. Of course, beyond the big picture culture shift, there are plenty of roster notes worth watching. The practice squad has taken shape, and a few names stand out. Veteran safety Tony Jefferson has secured a spot, which is valuable given his experience and leadership. Wide receiver Jalen Reagor also sticks, a sign that the Chargers want to keep as many dynamic options as possible in the passing game. And don't overlook Vidal, another piece of depth that could become important if injuries pile up during the grind of the season. Even LeBron James took a moment to show some love toward the Chargers recently, dropping a quick shout-out in a video clip. When stars outside the NFL are recognizing what's happening, it tells you the Chargers are starting to generate attention well beyond their own fan base. Put it all together, the cultural shift under Harbaugh, the growing toughness, and the careful roster shaping, and you can see why this season feels like more than just another year in Los Angeles. The Chargers aren't just aiming to compete. They're aiming to change the way they're perceived across the league. The practice squad is more than just a collection of names. It's the foundation of depth, and the Chargers still have some intriguing pieces there. Carson Barnhart is one of those players who stands out. He might not be on the 53-man roster, but having reliable options tucked away on the practice squad gives the team flexibility if injuries strike. These are the kinds of players you feel comfortable with stepping in if called upon, and that's an underrated part of roster building. But the real story goes beyond the active roster. What often gets overlooked is development, the growth of players from year 1 to year 2, and from year 2 into year 3. Everyone talks about rookies and the excitement of new signings, but the biggest leap often comes from those already in the building. Take Joe Alt, for example. In his second year now, the question becomes, how much stronger, faster, and smarter can he get with another full offseason behind him? That progression is where a team truly gains an edge. This is something Jim Harbaugh has emphasized for years. Look at what he built at Michigan. Early on, they struggled to get over the hump, especially against Ohio State. But as players developed, guys like Aiden Hutchinson turning into household names seemingly overnight, the program transformed. Many of those stars weren't 5-star recruits. They were players who grew, year after year, under the right strength and conditioning programs. By the time they hit their junior and senior seasons, they were dominant. That same philosophy now carries over to the Chargers. The spotlight might always shine on the big free agent additions or flashy rookies, but the real backbone of this roster could come from those steady, less discussed leaps in development. If Los Angeles can replicate that formula, taking good players and turning them into great ones through discipline and growth, then the team's ceiling rises far beyond what we see on paper today.